Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really sorry I can't be with you tonight, but health problems and other issues have prevented me from being with you. But I do want to talk to you about a magnificent man that I met a number of years ago, and his name is Steve Harrison, and everybody knows Steve Harrison. So let me tell you the story. The story is that in 2004, I made a decision that I wanted to run against Vito Fossella, because in my mind it was a travesty that such a right-wing radical Republican was representing working class and middle-income people on Staten Island and New York. He was attached to President Bush by the umbilical cord. Anything Bush was for, he was for. And it was time, I felt, to beat him, but more important, that if we could win on Staten Island on a progressive agenda, that message would go and resonate throughout the country. Because as you and I know, there are people within the Democratic Party that say, play it safe, play it in the middle, and don't take progressive stands. I believe that is absolutely wrong. And I believe that we showed it when I ran in 2004, getting 41% of the vote, with not a heck of a lot of money. However, next time around, here comes a young man by the name of Steve Harrison. And he challenges Vito Fossella on a progressive program. And he gets 43% of the vote with very little support from Labor and very little money. That proved to me that Steve Harrison is a man of substance, a man you can believe, a man you can rely on, and fundamentally, a man who believes in justice, whose moral compass is guided by what is good for the people. That's why I'm, at this time, and have endorsed Steve Harrison for Congress, because he's the kind of a man that will speak unequivocally and say, bring the troops home from Iraq now. Don't waste time. Immediately start bringing them back. Steve is a man who knows what health care means to people, working people, and how many people, 47 million, are without health care. That's why he's a single-payer health care plan, not these mealy-mouthed plans that are out there, but one which was proposed by President Truman back when he was president. And what he wanted to do was connect health care to Medicare. Unfortunately, the insurance companies and the regressive forces in Congress prevented him from doing that, and all he could salvage was Medicare for senior citizens. But that bill removed the insurance companies from health care for senior citizens. And the history is clear. It has worked wonderfully, it is not in financial trouble, and it is the way to go. Now in Congress we have John Conyers, who has introduced the very bill that Harry Truman wanted to pass. Get rid of the insurance companies who spend 33% of every dollar that goes for health care for administrative costs, while other insurance companies, auto, housing, they charge between 10 to 13%. What that means is money is going down a rat hole, and that could be used for health care. We also know that health care for everybody in America under the John Conyers bill, which connects it to Medicare, would cost about $30 billion, which is what we would save when we get rid of the insurance companies. So those people who say it'll cost too much don't know what they're talking about, or they're lying. The fact of the matter is, health care under a single payer, get rid of the insurance companies, will pay for itself. And if we're short of it, then let's stop the billions of dollars that are being wasted in Iraq and in the bloated military budget, and we will have money for health care and housing and construction and jobs and all the other things that America is desperately needing. On a question of women's rights, Steve is for a woman's right to choose. He supports the rights of gay and lesbian people to have justice. And for these reasons, I believe that Steve can be our voice. He can be a voice for progressive change. And I truly believe that this time around, Steve will beat Vito Fossella. And Steve will send a message across this country that a nation which is made up of many communities, but we have Staten Island, which is predominantly working class and has been written off as a right-wing stronghold. And we will prove, and Steve will prove, that a man who is upright, honest, unequivocal, will show that when you are that kind of a candidate and speak to working people very clearly and honestly, that they will respond. And that will go all over the country, and it will be very influential, as far as I'm concerned, in those Democrats who follow the Democratic Leadership Council, whose motto is stay in the middle, don't alienate the left or the right, and that has meant disaster for many Democrats. And we know that when Democrats are clear and articulate on the issues, they win. So this year is the year that we are going to beat Vito Fossella, and Steve is going to do it. But believe me, he cannot do it alone. The Fossella machine is vicious and filthy and will come after Steve with all guns blazing. I mean, Vito Fossella, when I ran, in one afternoon, raised $100,000 at a luncheon that I believe Mayor Bloomberg gave for him. So Steve will need money to get his message out, to counter the lies that Fossella will send out, but more importantly, to give the message of where he stands on the issues. So for that reason, I'm saying dig deep in your pockets, as deep as you can, with the funds that Steve needs to defeat Vito Fossella. And I look forward to meeting with all of you in November, when we can say a right-wing radical Republican has been defeated and Steve Harrison did it. Good luck to all of you.